It looks like we're in for another hot game summer with a whole bunch of bangers on the way to Xbox in June and July. Now, last year's Xbox Game Showcase gave us our very first look at Atomfall, Doom the Dark Ages, and that old game Clair Obscur Expedition 33, along with loads of other really cool reveals and deeper dives into all sorts of great games. So I'm gonna say it's pretty safe to say that we're reasonably stoked about what this year's show might bring. Perhaps even a little more than reasonably stoked, to be honest. I absolutely cannot wait. This year's showcase kicks off at 6 p.m. GMT on June 8th, and we'll once again see a whole bunch of titles from both Xbox Game Studios and third-party developers, so you will not want to miss it. And you don't want to leave too sharply either when it's finished, because the 2025 Xbox Game Showcase will be followed immediately by the Outer Worlds 2 Direct, which promises to give us an in-depth tour of Obsidian's upcoming action RPG. Fortunately for you lot, you can catch both shows in their entirety right here on our Xbox on YouTube and Twitch channels. We've got a Dune game arriving this June. Isn't that a fun bit of wordplay? Anyway, the game is called Dune Awakening and it comes out on PC on the 10th with a console release to follow. This massive open world multiplayer game basically drops you down into the desert world of Arrakis and leaves you to figure things out from there, which means you get to do all the really cool stuff from the movies. You get to use thumpers to summon giant sandworms, you get to ride around in ornithopters, and you got to make sure to keep your still suit in working order if you don't want to succumb to the desert. Dune Awakening looks like an absolute must-play for Frank Herbert fans, film buffs, and, well, anyone who fancies testing their survival skills in one of sci-fi's spiciest locations. Directed by former Rockstar bigwig Leslie Benzies, shout out to you Leslie, Mind's Eye is a third-person adventure featuring stunning cinematics, thrilling gunfights, and high-speed chases, so it genuinely might be the thing to scratch that GTA itch this summer. The game takes place in a near-future desert city called Red Rock, which works as the same sort of open world we've seen in the Mafia games. Playing as a former soldier with a mysterious implant shoved where his memory should be is up to you to figure out what's really going on in this high-tech metropolis. Spoiler alert, it does involve self-aware robots, and that is not good. The lead character in The Alters probably spends a lot of time wondering where his life might have taken him if he'd made some, slightly different decisions. That's partly because he's got a machine that can print out alternate possible versions of himself, and it's partly because the choices he did make have ended up with him being marooned on an extremely hostile planet with no obvious way to go home. Coming day one to Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass on June 13th, The Alters is a truly mind-bending puzzle game. Not only will you have to find a way to survive the various hazards that your new home throws at you constantly, but you'll also need to deal with the extreme psychological challenge of having to work with yourself. Lots and lots of versions of yourself. All hell has broken loose at the Bureau of Control. Yeah, you know, that one from Control, you got it right. And it's up to you and your buddies to set things straight. That is the basic setup for FBC Firebreak, the new co-op FPS which comes straight to Game Pass Ultimate and PC on June 17th. These otherworldly monsters won't go down without a fight, but fortunately, the Bureau have spent a pretty good chunk of their budget on all sorts of high-tech weaponry, all of which you can modify to suit your preferred playstyle. FBC Firebreak takes place sometime after the events of Control and promises to give players a totally different perspective on its strange, supernatural world. And if you do fancy a quick refresher course on FBC's do's and don'ts, Control itself is still available on Game Pass Standard right now. Dune isn't the only iconic sci-fi universe that we'll be hopping into this month though. Tron Catalyst is also arriving on June 17th. This third-person action tells a brand new story set within the grid, and it's just full of neon lights, pounding electro beats, and deadly frisbee duels as you'd expect. In fact, you'll get to wield your very own death frisbee. Oh wait, I'm now being told it's called an identity disc, using a dynamic combat system that mixes up ranged and close quarters combat. Plus, it lets you kick ass while riding on one of those dope light cycles. So I'm kind of getting the full Tron experience from this. Cannot wait. Also on June 17th, it's time for the game that gives a whole new perspective to the term dating scene with the positively bonkers romance simulator Date Everything. Imagine this. One day, a woman receives a pair of strange magical glasses which cause every inanimate object in her house to become very, very animate all of a sudden, and also very, very dateable. Suddenly, the boiler has got her hot and bothered, the bathtub is making a splash, and there's a real spark between her and the electrical outlet. Naturally, the fridge is playing it cool the whole time. There are over 100 characters to meet, each with stacks of fully voiced, fun-filled dialogue options for you to enjoy as you figure out which one is the one. So, Xbox On viewers, I ask you, what household object would you be most likely to fall in love with? Hit the comments and let me know, and I will do my best not to judge you. On June 19th, the developers of Sifu are bringing their talents for high kicks and visual panache to the world of five-a-side football. Coming day one to Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass, Rematch takes a really novel approach to the beautiful game, having players control just the one player rather than the whole team. Which does mean you get full authority over their fashion choices and hairstyle preferences as well. All players have the same stats, so you can't get on by raw pace or brute strength here. Each Rematch matchup will be determined by individual skills and efficient teamwork, with perhaps the odd bit of dumb luck thrown in. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now they're in a roguelike. Turtle Power. Yes, on June 24th, Leonardo and the gang will be appearing in their very own Hades-style isometric actioner. Oh my god, what a sentence. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate. You can play as any one of the four, wielding their iconic weapons and scooping up new buffs and powers as you battle your way through the sewers. Of course, the Turtles are all about teamwork, so naturally Splinter Fate also offers 4-player co-op both locally and online if you fancy it. These days, the Xbox is something of a mean, green turtle gaming machine, with both Shredder's Revenge and Mutants Unleashed available now already on Game Pass. The remaster masters known as Night Dive Studios are back with another spruced up classic on the 26th of June, it's System Shock 2. To celebrate its 20th anniversary, this legendary horror FPS has been rebuilt with stunning 4K visuals and 120 frames per second on the Xbox Series X. Of course, you'll still be stuck on a spaceship full of hideous mutants and killer robots, governed by a sinister AI bent on the destruction of all mankind, but at least you'll look nice, I guess. Also arriving on Xbox this June is the mega popular free-to-play adventure Zenless Zone Zero. What a mouthful. This anime-style urban fantasy ARPG has players fighting to defend humanity's last great city from a calamity known as Hollows. It's a big job, but someone's got to do it, and Zenless Zone Zero's combat system hits that easy to pick up, difficult to master sweet spot just perfectly. So you'll be swatting hollows like a pro in no time, I assure you. Zenless Zone Zero will be coming straight to Xbox Series X and S, and those anime visuals do look especially sublime in 4K 60 on the Series X, and Game Pass Ultimate members will also be able to stream it on all their devices too. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 will be grinding straight onto Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass on July 11th. No doubt while doing a few spins or cool little handstand thingies or something, I don't know. These two classic skating games have been totally overhauled with dazzling new 4K visuals and fluid animations, adding in a ton of new content while retaining everything that made the originals so beloved. That means you've got all your original skaters, parks and songs, but also a bunch of new ones, plus improved park and skater creator tools. Oh, and here's a goodie, the Doomslayer is also a playable character now, because why the hell not? He needs some downtime too, okay? Eden Zero arrives on July 15th, so it's a great month for anime fans, and especially for anime games featuring titles with the word zero. Based on the hit anime and manga series, Eden Zero is an action RPG that takes players on a cosmic adventure set within a vast open world. Control 8 different playable characters as you hop freely between planets, taking on quests, picking up loot, and getting in scraps. With over 200 quests to take on and over 700 pieces of equipment to experiment with, Eden Zero promises to be a rich RPG experience for both fans of the series and total newcomers. If you've ever been playing a casual game of Pac-Man and thought to yourself, sure, eating ghosts and getting high scores is fun, but where's the lore? Then great news, Shadow Labyrinth is definitely the game for you, you big freak. Arriving on July 18th, this genre-twisting take on the Pac-Maniverse turns it into a 2D action platformer starring a nameless swordman and their yellow circly companion named Puck. You see what they're doing. You'll be exploring a world full of ferocious creatures, steadily gaining new abilities that allow you to turn the tables on those awful beasts and get from prey to predator. So while it may not look or sound a lot like Pac-Man, promise you, it sure does feel it. Souls-likes often make the player feel weak and vulnerable, barely able to survive in a land of terrifying enemies, but Wu Chang Fallen Feathers is not that sort of Souls-like. Don't get me wrong, this third-person action is still very much set in an eerie dark fantasy world, and it is still very much filled with powerful foes, but its rich combat system gives you loads of your own devastating skills to unleash against your enemies, including ones you've stolen straight from the bad guys once you've taken them down. Your character might be suffering from amnesia, but she still knows how to kick some serious ass, and you can see for yourself when Wu Chang Fallen Feathers comes day one to PC Game Pass and Game Pass Ultimate on July 24th. Cozy little homes, hearty meals, big hairy feet, and a zero-tolerance policy for mischievous wizards. Hobbits really have this whole life thing figured out. And you know what? You can get in on the action from July 29th thanks to Tales of the Shire. This gently paced life sim is a Lord of the Rings game where you don't have to concern yourself with lords or rings or schmeagles, which is good because you'll be far too busy worrying about how to furnish your new living room, what to serve your new neighbours for second breakfast, and where the best place to do a spot of fishing might be. You know, the really important stuff. And I'm going to say it right now, right here, this is going to be my game of the year. A brand new season kicks off for Black Ops 6 and Warzone players on May 29th, and it features a few blasts from the past that they're just gonna love. The fan favourite Black Ops 3 map Fringe will be making its return, as will the fan favourite One in the Chamber mode from the OG Black Ops. And they're also bringing back Stitch. No, not the adorable blue alien you're thinking of. Actually, it's the scary terrorist man who has been up to all sorts of evil stuff since Black Ops Cold War. Still nice to see a familiar face though, I guess. On July 17th, RoboCop Rogue City gets a brand new standalone expansion called Unfinished Business, which will have players fighting their way up a massive tower that's fallen into the hands of some highly skilled mercenaries. So it's a bit like the raid, only the bad guy is much shinier than he is. Finally, Atomfall is getting a brand new story expansion pack named Wicked Isle on the 3rd of June. We don't know much about this yet, but we do know that Game Pass members can get it by upgrading to the deluxe edition, and that you can watch the second episode of The Method in the link right up there if you want to find out more about how they built the world of Atomfall. We'll see you on the Wicked Isle. Mwahaha. There's sure to be tons more Xbox news pouring out from the Xbox Game Showcase and beyond this month. So make sure you subscribe and ring that bell, and we'll catch you all up when we know what's going on. Bye bye!